When Hickman took over the Fantastic Four, everything changed. Reed Richards isn't just fixing problems. He's trying to solve everything. That's what leads to the Council of Reeds, a secret group of alternative versions of himself who gave up their families to build a better multiverse. But not every Reed agrees on what better looks like. Welcome back to Keepin' It Comic. Today, we're diving into the 1961 Fantastic Four, issues 570 to 572, the Council of Reeds. Now look, this all starts off with the Fantastic Four already going through it with some machines. And Sue's like, Reed, we're in trouble here. Johnny's out, and I'm doing everything I can to hold things together. Maybe now's the time for some deductive reasoning. And he's like, on it, dear. It's actually fascinating. Each of these machines appears to have been manufactured specifically to defeat a single member of our superhero family. Thankfully, Ben comes in, clobbering, saving the day as he says, then we better switch things up. And we see a guy in a helmet who's like, there was a hole in my logic. Ben says, hey, there's a guy inside. He ain't got no clothes on. Reed says, is Bentley Whitman, the wizard, Ben? I'd recognize that headwear anywhere. Johnny, check the other machines. And you can see the heat signatures. As he says, yup, all three alive and kicking. Reed says, well then, be careful. There are people involved. Let's show a little compassion and restraint for our fellow man. And as they pull these guys out, they realize they're all the same person. Reed says, manufactured, I'd guess clones. And Johnny asks, well, which one is the real deal? Which Reed responds, not sure. Maybe none of them. Something's not quite right here. Let's have a closer look. And as he takes off the helmet, you can see inside this guy's skull. Reed says, DNA-based processing, redundant intelligence centers, trans-universal point-to-point data streaming. Really solid work, Dr. Whitman. Oh, here's the real problem. He's got a plutonium-powered brain, Sue. And she's like, hunter-killer clones designed specifically to terminate us, and you found a bigger problem. But either way, he's like, I can track the feed. Unfortunately, I only packed a single translocator. Don't worry, this shouldn't take long. I'll be home for dinner. And he teleports out of there and right into the wizard's base. And as he's looking around and seeing all these clones, he goes, what have you done? And the wizard says, is it playing God if you're truly serious about creation? No, it's not. Reed says, you need to stop this. The wizard responds, don't be afraid, Richards. This is discovery. What do you say? Let's slice open some atoms and get a peek at the origin of the universe. Reed says, Bentley, you're not well. And he responds, you think I don't have to do this? I do. We need to burn it down and start over. Gods make mistakes. Richard, look at us. And as he wraps around him, Reed responds, when they lock you up, I'll make sure you get the very best care. I'll visit regularly. I promise. Maybe we can publish a paper together. But Reed kept his word. He made it home in time, put the kids to bed, even told them a bedtime story. And all while Ben and Johnny are planning their vacation. But Sue's like, okay, I'm going upstairs. I'm exhausted. I never used to get this tired. You coming? And all he can think about is what was being said from the wizard, who said, you pretend that there's something wrong with me, but I know you see the same things I do. Math is a language of the gods, Richards. We've both done the calculations. This world is going to tear itself apart, and there's nothing either of us can do to stop it. We've been judged. So Reed's like, I've got some things rattling around my head I need to deal with. And I just want to say, as Sue walks away, I understand her powers might be invisibility, but that thing is very clearly in 4K. But anyway, Reed makes his way downstairs to his shop, where we get some internal dialogue going on, which says, once I built a great machine. It spanned the difference between the known and the unknown. It provided answers to impossible questions. The machine was pure knowledge, a much too dangerous thing. So I hid it here, in my room of 100 ideas. 100 ideas I believed would change the world. What is the true cost of man's mistakes? What is the purpose of life? How can I save my world in these dark times? And the one that changed everything, who else seeks the answers to the same questions? And a greater one beyond that. I want to build a different future than the tomorrow I see on the horizon. What kind of man am I if I don't do everything I can to make that happen. So now I return to the machine. And as he turns it on, he says, "You said you could help me." And 3 figures appear. He took 3 days longer than normal. Another figure says, "It's to be expected. He's a troubled and conflicted man." And another says, "How can we help you, Reed Richards?" And Reed responds, "How do I solve everything?" In which we see 3 Reed Richards, in which one says aggressively, Reed says, "You're me." And he gets the response, "Clearly, I am not. And neither are these men. My name is Dr. Richards, but I prefer Reed, as I'm sure you do." And our Reed says, "Yes, I do. You too. Your powers are like the members of my family." In which this other Reed responds, "Reed of Earth 6590 and Reed of Earth 12 were chosen because you would find them familiar. We found this helps ease the transition." Our Reed says, "And what are your powers?" In which he responds, "Oh, there's nothing special about me. I'm just a man. Come with us. There's something you need to see." Our Reed says, "Where are we?" In which the other Reed tells him, "A conduit that leads to a construct nestled inside a fabricated pocket reality. It's a place outside of both the universal structure and the space that exists between them. Do you understand?" Our Reed's like, "No." But he's like, "Here, the rules that govern all reality do not apply. It is here that we do our work." Our Reed asks, "And where are we going?" And he gets the response, "To meet your brothers. Welcome to the council." And oh man, this is crazy. It's giving me Spider-Verse vibes. And you can tell our Reed is really trying to read the room, so to speak. But the other Reed is like, "This is a good place made by great men. Here, all things are possible." And our Reed's like, "This is amazing. What do..." And just then, an alarm starts going off. It says, "Universal beacon activated. There has been a galactic incursion on Earth 2012. The other Reed's like, "Unexpected. My first day was nowhere near as interesting as this." Our Reed asks, "This is what you do? Protect Earths from whatever?" And the other Reed responds, "Policing time is a reactive position, Reed. We do much more than that. Just as the founders of the council intended." Our Reed asks, "Who built this place?" And he gets the response, "We did, Dr. Richards. This is a dream made reality, a place to become something greater than what you were. We would like for you to join us." And holy smokes, we get 3 Reed Richards, all rocking the gauntlets with the Infinity Stones. And one says, "It's time to reach your full potential." And we start getting more internal thoughts from our Reed, who says, "I don't believe in murder. But this morning, before breakfast, I helped kill a Galactus on Earth 2012. And yo, there's not 1, not 2, but 4 surfers plus Galactus? This is crazy." Now, I'm gonna skip most of this conversation at breakfast. I just want to focus real quick on Franklin Richards and Johnny because their banter is hilarious to me. So Sue asks Franklin, "Is there anyone else you want to invite, for his birthday party?" And he says, "Do you think Dad could get Spider-Man to come?" And she says, "Well, he'll probably be busy, but I'm sure that he can ask." And Johnny's like, "What do you want that guy for? If you want a super cool superhero at your party, someone that says, 'Franklin Richards, living the dream,' then you're gonna want the Human Torch, kid. I'm sure I can squeeze it in." And Franklin's like, "Mom, I'd really rather have Spider-Man." And Johnny's like, "Listen, I'm going to tell you this because no one else will. Spider-Man sucks." But Sue's like, "Do me a favor. You and Ben go play with the kids, okay? I need to talk to Reed." And Ben's like, Stretchel scientist leader, man, when you don't keep the wife happy, it's the whole team that suffers." So while Reed's eating his Hulk smash cereal, Sue's like, "So, you've been spending a lot of time with yourself." He says, "Yes, I have." She says, "Reed, I know your work is important, and I would never tell you what to do with your time." And he says, "Sure you would. In fact, I'm pretty sure that's exactly what you're getting ready to do." She says, "I hate it when you do that. You spend all day in your lab, and then you act like you know every thought that's running through my mind." He responds, "Susan, when I was 15, I split my first atom, and by the time I was 25, I had spliced a gene and created new life. I have been to the stars in a rocket ship built by my own hands. And I have seen the death and birth of sons with my very own eyes. All of this, my own doing. I'm the foremost authority in countless areas of science and technology. And when the smartest people on the planet need help, it's me they call. I will not apologize for knowing the things I do. She says, what's your point? And bro activated his boyfriend 3000 powers like he hasn't been absent for 6 crossovers. Reed says, I'm an expert in many things, but it's you I've studied the most. And you could tell by her face, the Riz worked. He's like, give me one more week. Not Reed using gamma-flavored breakfast to fix cosmic-level gaslighting. But anyway, so we spends day 1 in Universe 8901, where Business Suit Reed is like, I could never accept the idea of someone going hungry. So I started here, terraforming a 25 square mile patch of land on a barren, uninhabitable planet. I called it the farm. Our Reed says, and now this planet provides food for those who have none? This is good, Reed. And the look Business Reed gives him. Our Reed's like, what? He says, it takes a while for one of us to get acclimated to being a member of the council, to get used to what it is that we can do. Your entire life, you've had to think in terms of what's the most one man can achieve, as if choosing between things is a requirement. You're going to have to stop thinking so small. A Reed says, I don't. The other Reed says, why would I ever stop at one, Reed? I have hundreds of worlds like this. It's time to let your imagination run wild, Dr. Richards. Take a look. Now, pretend there is no horizon. Good. A shipment is getting ready to go through. You won't want to miss this. A Reed says, cool. Listen, there's something I've been wanting to ask. You're wearing an infinity gauntlet, a glove that will let any wish become reality. Why bother with all this when you could just snap your fingers? Business Reed says, it doesn't work that way. The gauntlet only functions in the universe it comes from. And we're operating on a slightly bigger area than that. Besides, there's nothing wrong with getting your hands dirty, is there? We skip over to day 3 in Universe 45, where we see, I guess we'll call him Warrior Reed, and a few others fighting Dr. Doom. And he says to our Reed, you've seen the farm, in which our Reed responds, yes. This warrior says, everything we do has a purpose. It was necessary for you to see that before you see this. The greater good always makes the necessary evil more tolerable. Watch. This is an important lesson. Hold him down. Dr. Doom says, do your worst, Richards. Doom will never stop. Warrior Richards says, I know you think that, Victor. You could have been much more. And he puts a collar on him. And all of a sudden, Doom is just repeating his name. Doom. Our Reed's like, what did you do? Warrior Reed says, the collar is a permanent control mechanism. It destroys higher brain functions. And so, just like that, Victor Von Doom is gone. And only this shell of a thing remains. Our Reed says, why would you do that to him? What made this Doom so much worse than all the rest? Warrior Reed says, I want to show you something. This is the hole. And our Reed says, oh no. And really fast, I just want to shout out everyone who's been supporting. And if you're not in yet, come join the family. Channel members and Patreons help make these breakdowns possible. And you get some really cool perks while you're at it. But back to the story. And you can see there is a whole army of Dooms that have been captured, all with the collars, just saying Doom. Our Reed says, this is wrong. Warrior Reed says, of course it is. But like I said, necessary. You don't know it yet, but you'll learn that there is no greater threat to the universe than Doom. His appetite is unmatched. He will never break. He will never yield. Our Reed says, why should I believe you? And Warrior Reed says, because on my Earth, a small portion of Victor's DNA was spliced together with mine. You see, I know him in a way that none of you ever will. I feel those same urges. I've got some Doom in me. And then we go to day 4. In Universe 12,498, upper dimensional space, where our Reed is like, this is slightly disorientating. And the other Reed says, don't worry, Reed, that's perfectly normal. Operating in higher level space takes some getting used to. In this dimension, skill and will are perfectly proportional. This is how we perform surgery on the universe. Now, have a look around and see what you're dealing with. Our read says, it seems to be a variable density star in a state of unnatural rapid decay. The other read says, and what could cause something like that? And our read responds, my best guess right now would be a supersymmetrical nuke. Well, would you look at that? Fringe dark matter. And the other read says, yes, the remnant of the Big Bang. Like a cruel parent, the universe reached out from the past to try to take back one of her children. You just saved 8 billion people, Reed. Feel good? And our read says, yes, very good. And the other read says, well, that's it then. You've seen the farm and the whole. Then you've seen the good and the bad. And after that, you stood beside me, larger than the sun, and did the impossible. It's time for you to decide, Reed. Do you want to play superhero for the rest of your life? Or do you want to join us and solve everything? And we see Reed in bed with his wife on day 5 at 3:40 in the morning, and he just want to give her a look and then bounce out of bed. But on day 6, our Reed meets with the council. Business Reed says, so you've come to a decision? Our Reed says, I have. And Business Reed says, and you're sure? And our Reed responds, I've weighed all the options, and I think that I can do the most good with the council. So if you'll have me, I'd like to join. I believe I belong here. And as they're getting ready to do a celebration for our Reed joining the council, an alarm starts going off. And Warrior Reed is like, impossible. Another Reed passes by and says, brothers, be wary. The gateway is breached. The council is compromised. Business Reed said, it's the bridge from universe 4280. What is the meaning of this? And a different Reed says, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. They made me. Warrior Reed says, who made you? Speak, man. Who made you? And the other Reed says, they have grown mad. They think they are gods. I thought I could stop them alone. I was wrong. They took me, tore open my mind. I told them about us, and now they have come. And from here, they plan to take everything. Warrior Reed says, who? And our Reed says, not gods, but something close enough. Celestials. Business Reed's like, what are their intentions? And this big brain Reed is like, I can't. Business Reed tells him push through. So he tries to read their mind, and he's like, madness. Madness. They want the council as a staging area for conquest. Oh, they've noticed me. And bam, his ketchup packets are everywhere. The Celestials say, unacceptable. We have removed the intruder/animal from our mind/collective. This place leads to all others. We would have all of it. Kneel and gain favor/forgiveness. And Business Reed and Warrior Reed are like, no, we are men. We have no masters. And zap, they get obliterated, looking like the host of Tales from the Crypt on the floor. Another Reed's like, find cover. And we see all these different Reeds starting to do things to jump into action. One goes and starts trying to blow up one of the Celestials. And another one's got a big gun like, to the armory. And zap, he's going too. We see a wizard with a gun. I don't think that really makes sense, but yeah, we see it. This other Reed is like, I need to access your universe. The wizard's like, you're going to use your infinity gauntlet? He says, yes. The wizard says, my body will not be able to handle it. You'll burn me out. I'll die. The other Reed says, we have to turn this or we're finished. I can't think of any other way. Can you? And the wizard says, no, I can't. Well, it's been one hell of a ride. And he opens his robe and there's a full universe in there. The other Reed sticks his hand right into the robe and lifts the gauntlet and starts attacking the Celestials. He then orders the other 5 to get to their Earths and bring back whatever you can to help stop these monsters. Hurry. And as they're all taken off, our Reed is being chased by Isan the Searcher. But he happens to make it back to the bridge and activate it, and ends up with Isan's hand in his lab back at home. But at the same time, Sue's made her way down to the lab, and she's outside the door talking to Reed, who just happens to have perfect timing, by the way. And she's like, I've been thinking, mostly about our conversation we had at breakfast the other morning, about what I want and what I expect. And I want to apologize, not because I was wrong or because I reacted poorly, but because sometimes I forget what it must be like to be you needing to fix everything and me and the rest of the family not being able to help you or even see what it is that needs fixing. So if this is just one of those things you need to work through on your own, I know it must be very important. What I'm saying is, yes, I miss you. God, do I. But you take however long you need, because what I want is for you to be you. And what I expect is for you to do what you think is right. I'll be here waiting when you're done. And this man doesn't say one single word after his wife poured her heart out. He just returns right back to the council. He brings all these guns there, and one of them's like, nice, Reed. A universal entropy gun. Punch a hole in an impenetrable object with an antimatter shell, and deliver a payload of rapid equilibrium. Damn effective when Celestials bleed energy. And you can see one of the Celestials are burning. And he's like, I hope it hurts. But that's all it took for them to retreat. This Superman-looking Reed is like, the council has been secured. 5 of them escaped through other bridges. 4 through one through another. The other Reed is like, shut off access from those universes and gather a hunting party. Summon any Reeds that weren't here. We're going after them. Reed, you stay here. Look after the wounded. Our Reed says, but I can help. And the other Reed says, you've done enough. You were the only one who came back. The weapons you brought turned the tide. So that's twice you saved my life today. I'll have to owe you. And a different Reed says, you saved me as well, Reed. And he turns around to see that other Reed that had his mind exploited by the Celestials. He says, are you all right? And the other Reed says, no. When they tore my mind apart, looking for information about this place, the Celestials did something. It's gone, Reed. My gift. How my mind worked. Gone. And our Reed says, I'm sorry. We'll find some way to fix this. To fix you. And the other Reed says, will you now? And what if you can't? And our Reed responds, I don't know. There are other things. Important things. And the other Reed says, like what? Friends? Family? No one here has those things anymore. We gave all that up for the greater good. So if I don't have this, I have nothing. And our Reed says, what do you mean no one here has those things? And the other Reed explains more. It's simple, Reed. The cost of solving everything is everything. The work will consume you. How can you think about little things like our personal lives when the fate of all we know lies in the balance? Susan will stop understanding. Her patience will run out as she's forced to raise the family all alone. Doesn't she deserve better? Ben and Johnny will get angry and eventually move on. Your children will resent you because you work too much and love too little. All you will have left is this. Our Reed says, I would never do that. The other Reed says, yes, you would. You will. It's the price, Reed. It always gets paid. Even knowing this is how it ends for me, I would gladly do so again. Our Reed said, no, I don't accept that. I won't. And the other Reed says, who were you to think you were different, Reed? And as our Reed runs off, the other Reed says, you'll be back. You always come back. And as soon as Reed gets home, he says, computer, seal and lock the door to the machine. Erase the room. And you can see the difference between the two pictures. We also start getting a side conversation that starts from a flashback. We have Reed as a teenager working on his car. And he says, I want you to stay. And Reed's father says, there are things that have to be done. Things I must do. I don't have any other choice, son. I wish I did. Reed says, how long will you be gone for? His father responds, a long time. Too long. If you truly need me, I'll be around. I promise. Reed says, but what if I just want to talk? And his father responds by saying, Reed, I've given you plenty of advice over the years, and I know you've listened because I see what you have become. A man capable of making his own decisions. But I want you to remember one last thing before I go. The world is ugly. It should not be, but it is. It will force you to do things you know you should not do, to compromise, simply because you feel like you have no other choice. This weakens us. It makes men less than what we should be. And it will be even more difficult for you because you have an extra burden, because you have a gift that will affect many people. But this, without this, means nothing. It's a terrible thing for someone not to reach their full potential. I know. As I've grown older, I've realized that I do not have the character to be both good and great at the same time. But you do, Reed. And as such, all of my hopes and desires rest in you becoming what I am not. When you grow up, I expect more. Son, I expect better. I want you to be a better friend than I was. Be a better husband. Be a better father. Reed, be a better man. And as he opens the door, Sue kept her word and was waiting right there. And man, I love this Reed. Reed came face to face with what he could become and realized that not every version of him made the right choice. The Council of Reeds had power, reach, purpose, but they lost the one thing that made Reed human, his family. And in the end, that's what set our Reed apart from the rest of them. This arc planted seeds that Hickman would grow for years. And it all starts right here. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the like button. It really helps us with the algorithm. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe and tap the notification bell so you never miss a breakdown. Want to keep the convo going? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We're always reading and replying. And if you're looking to connect with the community, hop in our Discord, follow our socials, and check out the merch. We've got links down below. And as always, thanks for kicking it with Keeping It Comic. I'll catch you on the next one.